Dammit, Moffat.
A Doctor Who review of Series 7, Part 2, Episode 6, The Crimson Terror.
This episode, well, I was quite excited for this episode because we get a lot more of Jenny, Vastra, and Strax.
Yes.
To be fair, not gonna lie, I usually refer to them as lesbian lizard lady, her wife, and the Sontaran guy. So that's usually my name for them. But I've always said many times that, like, I want either them to be the companions or I wanted them to have their own show. And this was basically...
This is a little taste of how that would be.
And I still do want that, although if they ever did a show like that, they would have to tone down a few things. But, because, like, going back to the whole Silurian well of Silurian problems...
We went to the Silurian well for the plot device again, which worked. But at the same time, like, how many things... I guess they ruled the Earth for a long time.
So there's a lot of things going on.
There's a lot they could draw on.
Hashtag Silurian problems.
Exactly.
And they're in the classic series too. So I mean, I think you pointed out at the very beginning that they're like developing all these photos of things that happened, and for like whatever like 1900s or whatever they're in.
1893.
Okay, 1893. They have some pretty high res
photos. Like, that was a nice shot of the Doctor. I was like, wow.
I mean, yeah, although also at the end of the episode there's this very nice high quality photo of Clara.
I mean, that's typical, but...
I mean, I understand why they do it. Like, again, this week suffers from the pacing. Because, like, for a while, like, because like, the Doctor's not going to show up for a while. Yeah,
especially when he doesn't show up before the beginning credits, it's going to be, it's going to be a little bit before he shows up. This one kind of pushed the envelope a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, when he did show up, it was a cool twist. I mean, it was something very Gatiss, like,
yes,
that I expect from his writing.
I mean, but they're pretty open about being aliens in 1993.
I had to pause it for a minute. I was like, wait, Shamus, I thought they were on, like, an alternate planet where it was, like, it looked like the same Earth/London, Victorian London. It happened to be the same, but that would make sense why they were aliens.
This isn't like classic Star Trek where they would go to a planet that looked just like Earth, but wasn't.
My mind just filled in the plot holes, and then I was like, no, this is regular London.
Yeah,
like, okay.
So I mean, it's a thing where, I mean, it works, but it's like, the thing is, like, there's that recurring joke of, like, oh, they faint when they see an alien. It's like, okay, I'm gonna skip ahead for a hot second. I want to talk about the part of the episode that was just really, why did they need to do that? So Strax comes in on the horse, and it's like, okay, that's a funny scene.
Oh, this scene that I had to point. Did you notice it?
No, I didn't notice it until you pointed it out.
Okay, so the little kid starts talking to them, and I thought he was like a robot or something, because he's like, at the turn, please, like, to turn left or whatever. Oh, I made myself sad. Anyway, he sounds like a GPS, and they're like, what is your name, sir? And he's like, Thomas. You're joking. You're kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Tom. You made a Tom reference in Victorian.
I mean, like, I get what they were trying to do, but it's like one of those things that, like, it just won't be funny after a while.
It was just, like, so unnecessary. And I mean, I enjoyed it. But it wasn't even that funny, and I love bad puns.
The thing for me is that, like, okay, so, I mean, that scene just didn't work for me. Yeah. So, like, the plot was that this lady wanted to steal all these people. I wasn't really sure why.
She was trying to preserve them to create her kind of own Eden. Kind of, like, replicate the, like, biblical flood in a way, and, kind of start again. The religious overtones of this episode were really interesting. Like, I was like, this is the preachiest advertising campaign I have ever seen.
I mean, that's all they had back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It fit for the time period that they were portraying.
It's just, and I loved that Jenny was off on her own, just solving all the problems in, like, the first, like, 13 minutes or so of the episode.
Yeah, I was like, you go, girl. It's nice to see a female character just go out and do something and not be, like, the last episode we saw where it's the female companion just kind of like, oh, I'm there. Let's talk about relationships, not plot. And then she was driving the plot for a while, which I really appreciated.
I know there's going to be a lot of people who will be like, oh my god, like her and lady, oh god, her name, Vastra.
Madam Vastra.
Like they're supposed to be married, but like they don't like act like they sort of don't really act like a couple in a way. There's just sort of like, if you didn't know, you would just think they work together. Like,
I mean, but that's I'm fine with a lot of people, I guess.
Yeah, like I'm fine with that. I just know that some people might complain about that.
I don't know. I mean, it wasn't the focus of the episode. It would be something that would need to be more carefully paid attention to if they did become companions for some reason.
which I would love.
I know you would.
Although I think the thing with Strax is that like his joke about wanting to blow things up could only go so far.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of the same joke every single time.
I mean, he's a Sontarn. Oh, what was it? There was a little reference. It was Madame Vastra was talking to Strax. She's like, our stratagem. And I was like, Sontarn stratagem.
And also for references, once the Doctor shows up and, okay, before the reference, okay, so the Doctor comes out of the thing and he's not like red-faced anymore.
Yeah.
And then he like goes to kiss Jenny, and I got real mad.
That made me really angry too. It was like not appropriate, and it's not cool because it's just that's something perpetuated by our society that's not positive.
It's not, although she did slap him, which he completely deserved.
Completely, like.
I really
200%.
wanted her wife to then come in and like try to like slap him too or something.
I understood that it was kind of like he was trying to play it off. It's like, oh yay, I'm me again. And
but it's like, no, that's not okay.
When Clara comes out, you just give her like a kiss on the forehead, and you had that kind of relationship going, and it was fine. No.
Yeah, but they're married, so... And I heard people like, oh, he was like caught up in the moment or whatever. It's like still not okay.
Still not okay.
Still like not okay in any way, shape, or form.
That's something that you see in a lot of media, not just Doctor Who.
I mean, that doesn't make it okay.
It doesn't make it okay, but it's one of those things that you can't just blame Doctor Who for that. It's our whole society.
Okay.
Going off on that really intense tangent.
There was... Okay, so like when the Doctor and Clara first show up in the nice sort of flashbacky sequence that was tinged with like the old film
that
look.
Was cool.
There was a wonderful reference to the former companion Tegan, who was an Australian air hostess, and he's like Braveheart Clara, and then, which is a reference to Braveheart Tegan, which is like one of the last lines they ever say about Tegan.
Oh, I didn't get that obviously because I don't watch Classic Who, but it's a nice.
But it works. It works because you're not like you don't need to know about Classic Who to get it.
It was just like, oh, it's a nice line, Braveheart. Okay.
Which they've been doing. Like, okay, we're gonna do like some subtlety.
It's very, very nice. Very nice.
It's nice. It's nice. I really enjoy it.
Some things have really done well this series, I think.
I liked when Jenny, all the guys are about to attack them, and Jenny like throws off her super Victorian clothes, and she's got like, I don't know, like her battle outfit on or whatever. She like kicks like one guy in the face and then like runs away. The Doctor makes her runs away.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah. And then also Claire's taking care of business. That's one where she's like, the Doctor's about to like sonic screwdriver like the lady's thing, and she's like, I've got a chair. Bang.
Thank you, Clara. Because we didn't really get to see much of Clara this episode. It was one of the, but it worked because the episode wasn't very Doctor-centric in general.
I feel like if the problem with me was that like, because the beginning of the episode you think like, is this going to be one of those episodes where the Doctor's not in it?
Yeah, they kind of have a problem with that. They don't have the balance quite right. It's like they're trying to replicate Blink, but not really. It's like you either have Blink or you have a regular episode, and the in-betweens are very hard to pull off.
Like, I would have loved literally a whole episode where it's all these like, you know, these three people have to be the one who ends up saving the Doctor and Clara.
This
like,
had that potential, but it decided to be more Doctor-centric again.
Which
I'm not
like,
sure it needed.
Which I understand that the name of the show is fucking Doctor Who. Like,
totally.
I understand. But I really would have, like, it would have been such a cool twist if, like, they had to save the Doctor. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, he's like, oh, I was fine the whole time, blah, blah, blah. But they're like, you're full of crap. Like...
Exactly.
I would have loved that more than just the Doctor doing, like, another thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, with the pacing, it was like the resolution of the plot was a little too simple. It wasn't quite as simple as, like, the first episode.
I thought it was kind of intense that they just, like, threw her off, like, this
oh,
giant...
my God. And the Doctor's just like, ouch, or something like that. And I was like...
She wasn't like an alien or anything. She was just like a person.
Human, and then the little leech, and then Ada, who went.
Yeah, which was totally fine. Which
I really liked Ada's character. I know we haven't really talked about her yet, but I really liked her. She was really interesting character. You know, the parallels again. I'm sure there's some sort of symbolism I haven't quite analyzed yet. But you know, calling the Doctor her monster, and she's just so lonely. And her mom, you know, A+ mother, not at all.
I guess they thought that like when they like pushed her off, it's like we're not gonna feel bad for her because she was like really mean to her daughter, so we're not gonna feel bad.
Messed up family dynamic. I mean, no family is normal, truly, but it was just like it was really heartbreaking when it's just, you know, her mother's dying and she's like, will you forgive me? And she's like, no. It's like, oh, that's a good girl. It's like, ooh.
Oh.
But then, you know, Ada being able to go on and become her own person and come into the light, it was nice. I feel like she kind of got pushed off to the side a little bit because it was the Madame Vastra, Jenny, Strax show for a while. Yeah. But I think I would have liked to exchange, especially some of the Strax scenes, for a little more film with Ada. Although I do think they developed her really well for the time they had. Yeah,
I mean, that could have been another thing, is just to focus on this person.
Yeah.
And like sort of have the Doctor just kind of be there.
Because you're only going to see her once, and we know we're probably going to see the trio again.
Yeah.
I mean, some distractions like Thomas.
Like that was completely unnecessary.
I mean, I thought it was kind of funny, but it didn't go anywhere. I mean,
didn't-
he did have a role at the very end, kind of saving them a little bit,
But like he could have found that anyway, or like it was just like really like we're gonna spend
it felt
like a
like
minute
they
on
really
this.
cared a lot more about Jenny and Vastra, and they're like, I guess Drax is there too.
I mean, I like them better too, but
Yeah, I think they're aware there's only so much you can do with
Do it.
his character
Yeah.
as far as they've developed it.
yeah, and there's a thing where, and you know, you could do more. It's just that they didn't really do a whole lot. But then there's the ending.
This ending,
I mean, it's set up for next week, especially like with the next time. You know, they're going to be in it.
yeah, they're going to be in it, and because I think Neil Gaiman's writing the next one, I guess they had to set it up because he was using these characters in his episode, which made sense. I mean, we've seen that kind of ending on Doctor Who before. It's a little abrupt. It's like, okay, I guess Clara's back, and she's back in her house, and she's just being there. And
But like, she's just like, I'm gonna go back to my house for a little bit just to set up next week. Like that was.
That's exactly what it was.
And like if they just happen to have all these photos, which like when were some of these photos taken?
Oh, and the A+ Photoshop job on those photos of how great the special effects are. Ooh, those
I
a
mean,
little rough.
I mean, it's the same sort of thing when you saw like what was it, the Ninth Doctor in like all those other photos when he's like in like the JFK one and like.
That was really funny. That was really funny. So yeah, it was just like, but it was really interesting because it's like, oh, and there's this picture of you in Victorian London, but I was in Victorian
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire. It's like, yeah, that's a thing that they were developing, and they were hinting at it a lot this episode because poor Adam Bastro and Jenny were so confused. They're like, Dr. Clara's not a thing. Clara's dead. He's like, well, it's complicated. He said it's complicated like a million times this episode, which it is. And I was like, look, the Moffat era in general.
I was a big fan of Claire's hair in this episode.
Oh,
I don't know what that's called, but like.
It's just some Victorian hairstyle. I don't know the name of, but it's.
But
cute.
A+ character go to the trio.
Mhm.
Because I want, like, I know they shouldn't have a show because if they did, it would like wear out its welcome like way too quick. But I would still like to see them try.
It just, you kind of got a feel for this episode. There's only so much you can do with them as characters.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it would be different if they were companions. They would go to different time periods. But we've seen them again constrained in this Victorian London mystery solving Sherlock Holmes-esque. The music this episode was also very Sherlock Holmes, like the film-esque. Like I thought I heard some wonky violin going on there, and I was like,
I really
Hans
wanted.
Zimmer?
I really like maybe they could have like a one-off special. Like they can have like just like one
They
thing.
could have like
by
a
themselves.
movie. They could have like a movie.
Like
kinda
they need
thing.
like a TV movie where
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
like bum around and have a good time. Like I would love to see that personally.
I could see that. I just can't see them going very far with it. It's like they're going to that well a little too many times. They're reoccurring characters that are just keep showing up, and it's the same thing.
Yeah,
And
it's kind of the same.
it was well done. Like this episode, the plot, it was
But
to me it was very not stereotypical, but
the
it
thing
was.
for me is that they put them in an episode, but we don't really learn a whole lot about them. It's sort of the same thing.
Yes, exactly. We're not getting to develop with them. If they were actually recurring characters, you would learn a little bit more about their character each time.
Because like at least last time it was like, okay, they're in a new setting now, and they add Strax to it, so like that's cool. But like the first time, like they didn't even have a whole lot to do in like A Good Man Goes to War.
No, they were just kind of there. It was good setup.
But like even that was like there wasn't a lot, but they did a lot with it, with the little bit they had. But anyway, so what's your grade for this week?
Oh my grade. I don't know. I mean, I didn't like it as much as last week's, but that's just personal preference. I think it was a stronger episode overall for sure. So I'd say like a 4.
I would give it like a 3. Because like there are parts that I liked, but then like it really gets bogged down, like kind of like in the middle.
Yeah, the pacing was weird. The pacing didn't bother me as much this episode as it has in the past.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean,
like 3.5.
Yeah. I would say that. I would say 3.5. It's for me, it just, you know, I'm very excited for next week. Neil Gaiman. How do you say his name? Is it Gaiman or Gaiman?
I think it's Gaiman. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not wrong.
I'm sure someone will tell us. And it's going to be interesting. I hope it doesn't suffer from pacing issues.
This whole season's had some issues with that, and this didn't stick out as much to me.
Yeah. It was just like I was sort of like, we'll see.
It was a solid episode. It was enjoyable. I mean, I don't think it'll be one of my favorite episodes of all time, but it was a solid Doctor Who episode.
Like the one to beat.
It was one of those. It was one of those in the middle of the season ones that you kind of forget.
Yeah.
Like, you know what happens, and I'm sure there'll be things to look back on. They set up a lot of things, but...
Like, the one to beat for this season so far was last week's for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's been the best one for me this season.
The plot was just stronger. This plot, you kind of knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was a very Doctor Who episode, I
Yes.
think.
Very, very, very
It's
Doctor
not a bad
Who.
thing. Not at
Yes.
all. It was good.
I also want to give a shout out this week to, like whoever does, like, the costuming for the Doctor.
The costuming is so pretty.
Just looked really nice.
Yes, the costuming has gotten really good. Like, it's nice having some variants off the Doctor suits.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously with 10, it was just brown or blue.
Brown and blue. And I also love that he made the joke, David Tennant, that, like, whenever he did, like, press photos, he would always do, like, the same 4 poses. Like, there'd be the one where he's like this, or there'd be the one where he's holding the sonic screwdriver, or there'd be the one where he's sort of, like, crouched on the ground.
Yeah, yes. He does, yes. Oh, but yeah, the costuming.
Yeah.
A+. I mean, I love the period costumes. I mean, gorgeous sets, all of that. And then, you know, Matt Smith's suits have really amped up. It's not just kind of switching color bow ties now.
Yeah.
It's got that nice
There's a lot of variation there.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Which is funny when you, from what I understand, originally, like, they had a completely different outfit for him in mind. Matt
Really?
Smith. They had, like, from what I remember reading, so please correct me if I'm wrong, that he had, like, a kind of, like, pirate-y outfit. And, like, there was literally, like, 30 minutes before they could, like, change it, like, because they were doing, like, their first, like, press shoot or whatever. And Matt Smith wasn't really feeling it. He's like, hold on, what if we do this? And he basically, like, from what I understand, Matt Smith sort of, like, came up with, like, the basic idea for, like, the tweed jacket and the bow tie. And they said... Stephen Moffat said that when they were, like, at first when he had, like, the weird piratey outfit or whatever, he wasn't, like, really feeling it, but he put on this outfit, and then he was, like, running around, like, pointing, like, a pen, like it was, like, a sonic screwdriver, and he was, like, jumping around the room.
Matt Smith, what a gem. He's-
You are, like, so good at being the Doctor.
yeah, he's really come into his Doctor, like, this series. In past series, I've been kind of like, Matt Smith, whatever. I mean, I've always been a Tennant person, so that's my bias coming in.
Yes.
But, I mean, I'm really starting to I feel like he's really come into his Doctor now. Like, there's been moments in the past where it's been really good, but
yeah,
we'll be able to see it more and more, and it's really interesting. I like
Mm-hmm.
it.
All right, so that's all for this week.
Yep.
Always let us know what you think.
Let us know in the
And
comments.
play nice down there.
Always some interesting things going
Oh,
on.
very, very interesting things about the comments. If you don't look at the comments, you should, because there's always a very interesting conversation going on.
That's one word for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next week, fans and Doctor Who viewers and everything else. Alonzi.
Owlsy.